Hey guys, it's Shooks. We both know this is like your fourth Spider-Man 2 theory video of the day. Like, you know what's up, you read the thumbnail. We're going to be talking about Spider-Man characters who could show up in this game. You don't have to pretend that I gotta lure you in. I got the goods, I'm here for you, let's get into it. Okay, let's start with the sneaky one that Insomniac slipped into the first game. Morgan Michaels, lead researcher of Devil's Breath and creator of its cure in the last act of the game. Hang on, what's this? Oh, Spider-Man notes that Michaels looks unhealthy, being pale, thin, and having dark circles under his eyes. This leads him to briefly suspect that Michaels has a genetic condition, although he passes it off as sleep deprivation. Who even is this? Morgan Michaels. Oh, it's an alias for Dr. Michael Morbius. Wait, Morbius? I already know what you're gonna say, okay? Shooks, that's not even Morbius. He looks nothing like Michael Morbin. Bro, Martin Lee looks more like Morbius. Okay. But there's too many red flags here for him not to be getting that Morb milkshake. Like, if Harry starts dying again and Norman doesn't have access to the symbiote, why wouldn't he reopen work on Devil's Breath? Norman doesn't care about casualties, and as far as he's concerned, he's had hundreds of thousands of test subjects of the compound in its latest form. And now that he's not a political figure, he has even less reason for him to be keeping his hands clean. And just like Connors, Morbius is going to get dragged back in whether he's willing to or not. Maybe Norman is the only one with treatment for his condition, and Morbius experiments on himself to get out of working with him. However it plays out, this is a story about inner darkness and the monsters it turns us into, and just try and tell me that doesn't sound like the perfect plot for a vampire. Speaking of monsters, this one is the dictionary definition. We're talking urban legend, Discovery Channel, Lost Tapes, late night episode. I'm talking about Vermin, it's Vermin. Ratty's on the list for two reasons. The first being he's integral to one of the best Spider-Man comics ever written, Kraven's Last Hunt. With Kraven seemingly being on the hunt for a successor, you can imagine why I think they'd be pulling from, a story about his last hunt, whatever. Especially with the black suit involved, even though I know in the book it's the cloth version, whatever, okay? Still. Vermin falls back into that theme about monsters and succumbing to your inner darkness, and with Vermin's human identity, Edward Whalen being a geneticist, maybe he'll join the mad scientist to Oscorp monster pipeline. Happens to everybody. I remember being 14 and clicking on my first Dr. Connors owns woke humanitarian 47. But anyway, he's one of the characters where no one really cares about him enough to flesh him out or make him interesting, so he just kind of fits into the plot wherever you need like a little rat fucker living in your walls. Even as a side mission, just crawling around in the sewers looking for a rat creature would be just delicious, okay? It'd be like playing Flushed Away on the PS5, how cool is that? There really isn't like a precedent for, Vermin showing up, like, Edward Whalen wasn't like a guy in the background in the last game, or like in Miles Morales, so I know that it's like probably just like headcanon, but at the same time, if I'm right about this whole ghouls and goblins vibe that they got going on for this next game, yeah, I'm calling it now. Spike from Flushed Away is definitely making an appearance here. I love talking about Flushed Away. I think I should just make this a Flushed Away video. What else was I talking about again? I know a lot of you are now familiar with the character as Spider-Punk, but as any starving Hobie Brown fan will tell you, before he was Spider-Punk, he was Prowler. Hobie started out as a child prodigy who created his Prowler tech for a window washing job. Okay, so he was immediately fired for building random tools instead of doing his job, but he took that gear and he started a life of crime, being a petty thief until a tussle with Spider-Man changed his mind. Even though I know Hobie is supposed to be closer to Peter's age, I can imagine Insomniac taking this origin and just intertwining it with Aaron Davis. Maybe suggesting Brown became the Prowler after Davis went to prison. And now that he's finally out, Aaron wants to change what being Prowler means for both of them. Like kind of inspired by Miles' actions and his words towards him in his game. They'd probably have some sort of Robin Hood type operation, and they could also mirror the relationship between Peter and Miles at this point, maybe displaying what not to do and where they go wrong over the course of the story. After the smash hit success the character had in Spider-Verse, I really just want to see him again, and he fits so well here. He has this really good anti-establishment kick that I think would be really interesting for someone like Miles, not necessarily retreading over that same idea from the movie, but more so going into the fact that superheroes rarely change the systems they're a part of, they just force their way into them. Also, speaking of Spider-Verse, there wasn't one symbiote Spider-Person in that whole movie. What's up with that? Is Miguel just gonna pull up in the next Spider-Verse movie with a full team of haters? Just symbiote after Lotus suit after symbiote. Also, since we're talking about the symbiotes, let's talk about what we know about this iteration of Venom. We now have some pretty clear confirmation that the symbiote is from space, what with the whole like emerging from a fiery meteoric crater and all. But this also means that symbiote spawn are very much a possibility. If you're a casual viewer, you know that Carnage spawns from Venom, but in the comics, so did Riot. And Scream, Agony, Phage, Lasher, Prancer, Vixen. The last two were reindeer, but the rest, those are real. I promise. Yeah, those were good. In the comics, this group was actually spawned from Venom by Carlton Drake of the Life Foundation. And just like Vermin, ever since then, they've been a little bit more than set dressing. Like, look at this group and tell me they don't scream side mission bosses. Picture this. Peter gets rid of the symbiote at the end of Act 2, and after it returns to Harry, it's revealed that Venom is in fact playable. Woo! You as the player get to set out and free Spawn that were forcibly ripped from the symbiote, maybe in different labs across the city like Roxxon bases in Miles Morales. And after freeing each one, they imbue Venom with a signature ability and just join his side. This makes playing as and against Venom so much more exciting when you, the player, are creating more mini-bosses for yourself and making the final boss of the game more powerful as you do it. They'll definitely save like Carnage for DLC if he's in the game at all, but the rest of the Spawn are definitely on the table here. And with this game already being compared to Web of Shadows, Insomniac knows the expectations and they know that they can't just redo what's been done before. Variety is really what I'm trying to get at here. Spider-Man has such a varied and vast rogues gallery, and there's a ton of great ideas to pull from. Like, don't be surprised when we see the deep cuts we never believed were possible. And I'm not even gonna make the big wheel joke. At this point, he's a household name. Look what you did to him. I have to talk about Stiltman now. That's all I got, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Special thanks to Onix Saga on Twitter for these fantastic Avatar PNGs. Please check out his work, it's incredible. If you're a longtime subscriber, thank you for sticking around. I promise that the next video won't take 4 years to make. I'm working on more stuff right now, but in the meantime, I've played a few characters for my friend Edbound here on YouTube, if you want to check those out. They were super fun to do. Feel free to check out my other socials while you're down there, Insta, Threads, Discord, or if you'd like to leave a comment down below, I would absolutely love to hear from you. Yeah, just have a great day. I'll talk to you later.